Sri Jawhar Sircar, 6 minutes.
Sir, thank you for giving me the opportunity to oppose the bill. As you have heard from the honourable member,
I have not given opportunity to oppose the bill. This is your discretion.
you have
No,
permitted
to
me
oppose
have
or
my
not to
say.
oppose is your discretion.
I would submit to you, sir, first and foremost as a citizen of India, see the devastation that environment laws have failed to control. Air pollution, water pollution, environment sensitive zone, wildlife, forest act, each one remains a devastated pillar of failure. This one is just one more addition. Sir, we have seen governments for the last 70 years plus, but we have not seen such a determined government, a government so determined to use the legitimacy of law, of structures, and destroy the heart and core of it. This one is just an act that brings in to legitimize offenses. Mining, effluent, CO2, they are full of exemptions. There are 200 plus state and central laws, and they control, but it was ultimately people and crusaders like M.C. Mehta who had to come before the Supreme Court to make them effective in another regime, never mind. Now, the specific reason for objecting to this bill is A, as my honorable friend has mentioned, छुटकारा दो, exempt करो, भय मारो, भय मारो, भय किससे? The offender has to get scared in a state. A state cannot run, a government cannot run on love and fresh air. Where there is a question of offending against human society, polluting the atmosphere, polluting water, polluting, destroying forests, the offender must have a sense of fear because he is offending against nature, against humanity. This government cannot go on exempting offenders, granting them reprieves. This act is full of them. This act goes in again for centralization of powers. There is section 21 in the Mother Act which says that state government and state boards may take powers. Here, there's an attempt to centralize everything by bringing all the powers towards section 25, 26, and 27. 25 is to stop effluents from spoiling the Ganga, the Yamuna, and other water bodies. 26 is for those who have already got exemption, like the Kanpur tanneries and others, to go in for certain effluent discharge. All the sections are being diluted. Sir, there have been more exemptions under the environment sensitive zones than punishments. The mood of the government is very clear. They have brought in a term called the adjudicating officer. That could be a central officer or a state officer. Incidentally, sir, all the directions in a federal polity are to be consultative. But here, there is a unilateral, absolute unilateral powers with the central government to determine whether a state officer can be an adjudicating officer. आप कौन हो मुझे बताने कि मेरे state में किसको power दिया जाए? So this one is actually an anti-federal law. 45C of the present act or the present bill says that any act by an adjudicating officer, any decision by an adjudicating officer can be appealed against straight to the National Green Tribunal. Sir, between a town that has an effluent problem and the National Green Tribunal, there is a state. I have no objection if it goes to the NGT. Only the question is of expenses. The poor men who fight against industrialists out to destroy mining, that is out to destroy those industries that discharge effluents and make the holy Yamuna look bubbly, full of foam, full of chemical foam, वो भाग जाएंगे because उसके पास ताकत है, उसके पास पैसे हैं, वो जाके जीत जाएंगे नेशनल ग्रीन ट्राइब्यूनल में, और जो इनके खिलाफ बात करते वो एक मिनट भी आगे नहीं बढ़ सकेंगे. So why are you bringing a section that goes straight from the panchayat to the National Green Tribunal? बीच में किसी को रखिए ताकि we can go to the state headquarters and file cases. There are, what are the punishments? There are punishments. 2.5 years to 7 years, but they have been made so small, so inconspicuous, and as my learned friend said, the entire intention is to make it punishment booked law. Without some amount of stringent fear, sir, you cannot tackle a subject like environment. We are going and making false promises. I am using the word false promises, sir. False promises to the COP that we will be bringing in renewable energy. My good friend is sitting there, Power Minister, that we will bring in renewable energy to the extent of 50% by 2030. I am sure that the capacity for renewable energy will reach somewhere near 50%. But the catch lies not in capacity. The catch lies in generation. And we can say with authority that India cannot have more than 31% powers from renewable energy sources. So why do we go and make international promises when you know that 2030 जिसके तरफ हम देख रहे, जिसके तरफ हम सोच रहे, 2030 में भी हमारे यहाँ 70% of the pollution of the energy will be drawn by carbon-emitting thermal fuels.
Doctor,
the spirit of this act is in that direction, and I seek your indulgence to oppose it in no uncertain terms. Thank you.
Dr. Ashok Kumar Mittal.